When it comes to constructing a new skyscraper in New York City, there are three unspoken rules if you want to win over its famously opinionated residents. First, whatever you build should complement the existing skyline and add to its glory rather than disrupt it. Second, it should serve a genuine purpose, not simply stand as a flashy monument to wealth that ignores the city's pressing housing challenges. And third, perhaps the most sacred rule of all, you should never obstruct the Empire State Building, a structure that remains the beating heart of Manhattan's architectural identity. Unfortunately, the new tower rising at 262 Fifth Avenue seems to have broken all three rules, and the backlash has been fierce. A skyline like no other. There's no skyline in the world quite like New York's. From the jagged towers of Lower Manhattan to the long row of glass skyscrapers along Central Park, the cityscape is instantly recognizable. Over the years, it has become a global symbol of ambition, resilience, and sheer human determination. In earlier decades, the Chrysler Building, the Woolworth Building, and the Empire State acted as navigational tools as much as landmarks. Their presence could help orient any visitor or local emerging from the maze of subway lines or walking along the city's endless avenues. These structures were more than monuments. They were living parts of the city's fabric, and today, however, many of those beloved views are disappearing. For decades, Madison Square Park offered a stunning perspective of the Empire State Building rising proudly against the skyline. Lower Fifth Avenue, too, was a vantage point from which the iconic skyscraper seemed to tower over the city, glowing like a beacon in the night. Those cherished angles are now obstructed by 262 Fifth Avenue, a thin glass needle that slices through one of the most beloved sightlines in Manhattan. To many locals, the tower is more than an architectural experiment, it is an intrusion. The Empire State Building. The Empire State Building is not simply a skyscraper, it is New York's crown jewel, a cultural symbol woven into the DNA of the city. When people think of Manhattan, the image of the Empire State almost always comes to mind first. It is to New York what the Eiffel Tower is to Paris or Big Ben is to London, a defining feature that anchors the city in the world's imagination. Built during the Great Depression, it stood as a defiant statement of optimism and progress when the country needed it most. That is why so many New Yorkers feel personally connected to it. Blocking its view is not just a matter of construction logistics, but a perceived attack on the spirit of the city itself. Other global capitals like London and Paris have enacted regulations to preserve sightlines of their iconic landmarks. In those cities, urban planners go to great lengths to ensure that the silhouettes of Big Ben or the Eiffel Tower remain unobstructed. New York, however, has no such protections. Its ethos has always been that if you own land, you can do with it what you wish. As a result, the Empire State is gradually becoming harder to see, not because it has lost its grandeur, but because the city around it refuses to protect its visibility. 262 Fifth Avenue. The new tower itself is a striking example of engineering ambition, though not necessarily architectural beauty. Designed by Meganum, a Russian firm making its American debut, 262 Fifth Avenue climbs to a height of 262 meters. What makes it remarkable is not just its height, but its extreme slenderness. With a width-to-height ratio of 1:19, it is 19 times taller than it is wide. By comparison, the Empire State has a ratio of 1:3, and even 432 Park Avenue, famous for its thin profile, measures 1:15. To keep the building stable against strong winds, its designers included an unusual feature, a large open gap 2/3 of the way up that allows air to pass through, reducing sway. The facade is wrapped in triple glazed glass and aluminum panels to further limit wind turbulence, and the core of the building, the vertical column housing elevators and staircases, has been shifted to the edge of the structure. This relocation allows for vast open-plan interiors that can be easily customized by buyers. On paper, these are innovative solutions to the challenges of building so high and thin, yet despite the clever engineering, the building is widely criticized for lacking character. To many, it looks like a sterile piece of glass architecture with little personality. New Yorkers are famously tough critics, but their frustration here runs deeper than just aesthetics, a symbol of excess amid a housing crisis. The real controversy surrounding 262 Fifth Avenue stems not from its shape or its materials, but from what it represents. The tower contains only 26 apartments, each sprawling across an entire floor and averaging 3,200 square feet. In a city where the average apartment measures less than a quarter of that, the contrast is stark. The apartments are marketed to the global elite, with prices beginning around $16 million. For developers, the math is simple. Selling 26 luxury residences generates far more profit than filling the same building with 100 smaller, moderately priced units. In total, the project is expected to generate at least $416 million in sales and potentially much more. But while the building is lucrative for its investors, it does little to address New York's desperate housing crisis. More than half of renters earning less than $70,000 a year spend over half their income on rent, and the city is producing only half the number of new homes it actually needs annually. Against this backdrop, a skyscraper that offers enormous, ultra-expensive apartments for absentee billionaires feels like an insult. The rise of zombie urbanism. Architect and scholar Matthew Soules describes this trend as zombie urbanism. It refers to the phenomenon where residential towers are built, but the apartments within them are rarely occupied. Instead, they serve as financial assets for the ultra-wealthy, functioning more like safety deposit boxes than homes. 262 Fifth Avenue seems poised to fall into this category. With prices so high, most buyers will likely be international investors who may visit their units only a few days a year, if at all. Entire sections of Manhattan have already become ghostly at night, their lights dark while thousands of New Yorkers struggle to find affordable housing. To critics, this is not urban growth, but urban hollowing. The body of the city remains intact, but its spirit, the everyday life that animates neighborhoods, is slowly drained away. Why New Yorkers are angry? New Yorkers are no strangers to change. Skyscrapers have risen and fallen for over a century, and the city has reinvented itself time and again. But the controversy over 262 Fifth Avenue feels different. It is not simply that the building blocks beloved views or introduces a new architectural style, it is that it does so while offering so little in return. The tower symbolizes a double loss: the loss of access to iconic sightlines and the loss of potential housing for ordinary residents. It is one thing to construct a tall building with hundreds of apartments, and even if locals complain about congestion or gentrification, at least in that scenario, the project contributes to solving the housing shortage. But when a building of this scale houses barely 50 people, many of whom will not even live there, frustration turns to anger. The economics behind the skyscraper boom. To understand why projects like 262 Fifth Avenue exist, one must look at the economics of real estate in Manhattan. Land is scarce, demand is high, and profits drive development decisions. Constructing a mid-rise with modestly priced apartments may serve the community, but it does not maximize returns. A luxury tower filled with only a few exclusive residences, by contrast, can generate profits many times higher. This logic explains why developers continue to build slender towers that cater to the top fraction of global wealth rather than middle-class New Yorkers. It also explains why the city is unlikely to pass regulations protecting sightlines or enforcing affordability quotas anytime soon. In New York, the belief that property owners should have the freedom to maximize their investment runs deep. The soul of the city at risk. The danger is not that New York will lose its identity entirely. Its skyline will always inspire awe, and its energy will continue to attract dreamers from around the world. The real risk is more subtle. As more towers like 262 Fifth Avenue rise, the city risks losing its sense of community. Empty apartments do not contribute to street life, to culture, or to the everyday vibrancy that makes New York feel alive. They stand as hollow shells of wealth, impressive from a distance but lifeless up close. From afar, New York may look like it always has, but the city's essence is found not in its glass facades, but in the people who live within them. When development prioritizes profit over people, when housing is treated as an investment vehicle rather than a home, the city risks becoming a stage set. Beautiful to look at, but missing the actors that give it meaning. And that wraps up our deep dive into 262 Fifth Avenue and what it might mean for New York's skyline and maybe even its soul. What do you think? Is this just another example of the city evolving? Or are we watching the heart of New York slowly being hollowed out by luxury towers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.